Yo, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing my 10 favourite fights of 2020. This ain't in no particular order, I'm just going to be rattling off 10 of my favourite fights. Listen, leave a like, subscribe and all of that, and let's get started, man. Number 10. Paul Felder vs Dan Hooker, UFC on ESPN 26. In my opinion, this fight was forgotten due to the pandemic and some of the crazy fights at the Apex on Fight Island. But for me, Dan Hooker and Paul Felder's great fight was still one of my favourites of 2020. From the infamous call out to the intense stare down and finally a Fight of the Year candidate, this mini rivalry had it all. Hooker came out strong. Paul Felder was struggling with the range, but as the fight came on, Felder started to land. Like most fights on this list, the judges had a very hard night of work. It was a hangman who narrowly won the cards. I take my hat off to Paul for stepping into the belly of the beast and fighting Hooker in New Zealand. 9. Carl Dawkins vs Brendan Allen, UFC Vegas 4. Two prospects, Carl Dawkins, who was unbeaten, and Brendan Allen, who had the win over Kevin Holland, took part in a 3-round battle that included vicious ground and pound, incredible to watch scrambles, and an insane pace. They never slowed from the start to the end. Both men came out firing and ended the fight firing. Carl Dawkins was on debut and really showed why he was labelled a prospect. Showed that Philly heart from getting dropped to being cut from a nasty elbow and even being dropped again on the bell of round 2. He controlled Allen's back for most of the third and was landing combos on the feet throughout the fight, but it was Allen who took the unanimous decision. This took his winning streak to 7 and 3 in a row in the UFC. Allen and Dawkins are definitely much worse prospects, with both of their last fights being wins. Number 8. Vincente Luque vs Nico Price 2, UFC 249. When Nico Price and Vincente Luque stepped in the octagon, we expected a war. Somehow this fight over-delivered. Both men are super gamer and up there for the hardest chance to crack in the UFC, and he needed every bit of that toughness. Vincente started the fight great. He was chopping the legs of Nico and landing hard counter right hands. As the fight went on, Nico started to find his range, and the wildness of his strikes helped to land on the more technical fighter. It was a crazy pace both athletes were fighting. Going into the third, everyone thought they were going to slow it down, but it was the opposite. They actually started to pick it up. Joe Rogan said it best, it looked like a movie. Luque started to put it on Price and ended up landing a perfect left hand that dropped Price and completely shut the eye. Nico looked like Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. The doctor called the fight after seeing the eye was shut. These two put an incredible dogfight, and like most on this list, I wish there was fans. Number 7. Justin Gaethje vs Tony Ferguson, UFC 249. First main event during the pandemic really lived up to the expectations. We all know it was going to be a war when Justin the Highlight Gaethje and Tony Okakuri fought for the interim lightweight strap. We just didn't expect it to be so one-sided. Justin looked the best he'd ever looked. He was sharp and showed a much better fight IQ. Tony was hitting Gaethje, even dropping him at the end of round 2 with an uppercut, but the boogeyman was just getting hit too much. Justin hurt him multiple times. Tony's face was super messed up. In the end, his boy just couldn't take no more punishment and Herb Dean jumped in. The underdog Justin Gaethje stopped Ferguson's 8-year unbeaten streak in a real breathtaking performance. Number 6. Josh Emmett vs Shane Burgos, UFC Vegas 3. Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos put on an instant classic in this 3-round spectacle. What makes this even more special is the fact that Emmett tore his ACL in the opening moments. The granite chin and iron heart was on display from Shane Burgos, but the power of Josh Emmett was just different gravy.
My darling, you with a headband, you are different gravy.
He dropped Burgos twice for the second knockdown, nearly sending Burgos to the shadow realm. 3 rounds of back and forth action had to put this on my list. Number 5. Whaley Zhang vs Johanna UFC 248. Listen, this fight was pretty much unanimously voted Fight of the Year, no wonder why. Zhang, Magnum, Whaley and Johanna are 100% gonna butcher this. Fuck it, Gaethje.
What? Bro, I'm out, man.
Put in a showcase for women's MMA. Everything was even, the punches, the kicks, and the few and far between clinch bouts. I promise you I did not envy being one of them judges. It was Whaley who won a super close split decision, but no one would have been angry if Johanna walked away with a belt. There were so many exchanges that left Johanna looking like Mega Man, with Whaley losing a crown in the last fight against Rose, and the winner of Carlos Esparza and Yang Xiaonan most likely getting the next shot. I think now is the perfect time for Whaley and Johanna to run it back. Number 4. Davidson Figuerado vs Brandon Moreno, UFC 256. This fight was 100% the best flyweight fight in the history of the sport, and to think many people thought the division was on its way out. Everyone expected a show when Davidson Figueiredo defended his belt against Brandon Moreno, especially after Davidson destroyed Alex Perez in a couple of minutes just a month before. It was far from that. These two warriors put on a crazy fight that ended in a draw. Figueiredo is the hardest hitting flyweight but couldn't put the tough Mexican away, and it was actually Moreno who had the champion hurt on a couple of occasions. Moreno even came back from a nasty low blow that had the commentators thinking the fight might be over. Overall, just an incredible fight, and I can't wait for these two to run it back at UFC 263 and this time in front of a packed arena. Number 3. Nathaniel Wood vs Casey Kenny, UFC 254. I might be biased because of my fellow Brit, but this might be the number 1 fight that went under the radar in all the Fight of the Year talk. Casey Kenny and the prospect Nathaniel Wood put in an all-offense action-packed 3-round battle. They set a very high pace throughout the fight, with both throwing over 100 significant strikes each. It wasn't an all-out slugfest like many others on this list, but it's definitely one of my favourite fights of 2020. Number 2. Dustin Poirier vs Dan Hooker, UFC Vegas 4. These man put on the best fight at the Apex, so you know it's on my list. This fight was crazy everywhere, great scrambles and crazy striking in the pocket. Round 2 was the best round of 2020, just insane back and forth throwing but fighting, both men getting hurt multiple times. They left it all in the cage. Look at this video of Dan Hooker after the fight.
Man, you up for an interview? No interview, guys. Come on, let's get him to the doctor.
Dana White's voice, so you want to be an Ultimate Fighter. It was Dustin who won on the night, but just what an incredible brutal fight. Number 1. Max Holloway vs Alex Volkanovski 2, UFC 251. If you want to see the highest level of MMA striking, look no further. Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway put on a violent chess match in their championship rematch. Max looked laser focused win the first 2 rounds, dropping Alex at the end of both of those rounds. Alex took his time coming into the fight, but came on strong when it mattered the most in the championship rounds. Alex won the fight, retaining the featherweight strap. The decision was highly disputed, but that shouldn't take away from an incredible technical scrap. So yeah man, that was my 10 favourite fights of 2020. You know, what do you reckon? What fights would you put in there? Leave it in the comments below. But apart from that, that's it. Leave a like, subscribe, you know, turn that little notification bell on, and yeah, I'll be back next week.